Hello there guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video. How are you all doing today? As you've seen the news, no doubt, Man City have announced their first team squad, or should I say EDS squad, for the upcoming USA tour, including the games against Dortmund on Saturday night, Liverpool and Bayern. And it's a very interesting squad. It's basically Pep coaching 18 under-21s, then a bunch of senior players. So what I'm going to do today is try and talk some of the faces that you may not actually know. There's no point discussing all the first team senior players. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the potential loanies that could impress. In general, just run through the squad. I've got my laptop here next to me, as you can see. Look, there we go. It's got a list of all the players on there, and I'm really going to get rid of all the first team players. I'm looking at you, Claudio Bravo, Laporte, Sane, Phil Foden, Silva, Mendy, Adebayo, Mahrez, Zinchenko, Diaz, all those players, even Foden and Brahim, they were in the first team squad last year. And I'm also going to include Daniel Grimshaw, the young goalkeeper, because he was training with the first team last year every single week, and he's going to be our third choice keeper allegedly. So those people, they're all just going. They just don't need to be there. We all know enough about those players, and we all know they've got a big chance now to stake a claim to be starting come the Premier League season, given how thin the squad is at the moment. I'm going to go on next to the actual loan players, the ones that are just kind of there because Joe Hart, that is the big surprise there. Joe Hart, I'm almost certain this is just delaying the inevitable with him. He surely will be moving out. He doesn't have a future at Manchester City. It looks like Muric and even Grimshaw are ahead of him at the moment. Joe Hart is just filling up the numbers, but it'd be nice to see him in a blue shirt, even just for one last time. But I suspect he'll go pretty soon. And then the interesting one for me is Patrick Roberts there. Now, that move hasn't happened yet to Leicester, which was allegedly going to happen. Patrick Roberts is a fantastic little player, and I'm sure he'll actually make an appearance or two. I do suspect, though, once again, he's in this group for a reason, because I don't think we'll see him play for Manchester City again, especially not competitively anyway. And then you've got Jack Harrison, which surprised me. The guy we got from New York City, then went on to loan to Middlesbrough last season. But in general, he barely played for Middlesbrough. He didn't really get looking in the Championship, and I don't see any reason why, given that Patrick Roberts is even better than him. He's a very similar kind of player, but Roberts has played at a higher level. He would actually get a chance to impress him. I'm sure he will get a chance to impress in training, but I don't suspect that we'll see much of him. I'm sure this is just a precursor to get him training with the squad before he gets his next loan move. Then we got Jason Denayer as well. After so many loans, he needs to just move now. It looks like he'll go back to Galatasaray. He seems happy there, but City don't want a third loan, and I don't really blame them on this, because that's just taking the piss, to be honest. His contract will expire before we know it, and we just want to get rid of him now, and hopefully that'll happen. A very good player at one point, but lost all kind of momentum is what I would personally say there. So we just need, for his career, for our sake, just to kind of cut ties loosely there. And then Douglas Luiz, the one that everyone's quite excited about. Now, slight confession here, I'm not quite as excited as other people are. This comes because I did watch Girona last year a few times, and each time I thought he was far too raw, far too kind of over-eager. Didn't have anywhere near the subtlety to play for a Guardiola team. He didn't have the passing consistency, in my personal opinion. He's more of a box-to-box midfielder. He's not, in my opinion, a viable alternative to be the number 6 with Fernandinho there. But given the fact that Jorginho hasn't happened, and City are making rumours and noise about us not buying another midfielder, maybe he gets a chance to impress. I would be fascinated to see what he can do under Guardiola, and I can't deny that he obviously does have ability there. He just didn't impress me at Girona, and he's got to do a lot more than sit on the bench for Girona to play for Manchester City. But he's got a big chance now, so it'll be interesting to watch him. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me as an academy watcher. This is where the kids take over, and I'm going to start with Ira Garcia. I'm surprised he's actually there, given the fact that Joe Hart's there, Grimshaw's there, and Bravo, and who knows when Ederson was going to return. But he's a very promising keeper. There's been lots of rumours that he'll be going to NEC Breda on loan, but it doesn't look like it's very imminent, given the fact that he's travelling with the first team. But he's an exceptionally gifted keeper. To me, he's the most exciting young keeper I've seen in a long time. But the only problem he's got is Ederson's there, so he needs first team football somewhere. He's arguably even slightly more promising than Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn is now a Premier League keeper and a future England international. So Aro, a very exciting keeper, imposing, tall, powerful, almost a bit newer-like in how he plays. But hopefully he'll get a game or two. He might just be out there just to train though. And then there's Ira Garcia, a name that most of you will be familiar with if you paid attention to the academy teams. He captained the under-18s at times last year and has already stepped up a little bit to the EDS. I think he's just about to turn 18 if he hasn't already. Very tidy, very Spanish defender, exactly what you'd expect. Composed, almost old school as well. A little bit of physicality to him. Reads the game very well. Still very young, but it's a great opportunity for him to play, given the fact that our defence is only really Laporte and Adebayo there, the more senior centre-backs. So hopefully he'll get a game. And then finally, Ogbeita as well. A name that I guess most of you won't actually know. A very tall, elegant, striding centre-half. Can also play in defensive midfield. I saw him a few times for under-18s last year. Once again, an English youth international, very highly thought after, sometimes with the captain's armband as well, and left-footed centre-back. He can pass the ball. He's also very good at striding through midfield, can play left-back a little bit as well, so he could be an option there. Then there's Cameron Humphreys, a man that basically just disappeared for a year. I heard he had a lot of very bad luck with injuries, but one time, 2 or 3 years ago, he was playing as a 16-year-old marking Ronaldo in pre-season, and if I'm being honest, his career is kind of slightly stalled since then. Cameron needs a loan next season. I suspect this will be a good chance for him to train with the first team in Guardiola after a very disappointing last year due to injuries and actually make a bit of a name for himself. Fingers crossed he gets some time to impress. And then there's Tyree Wilson, a young, tenacious Irish left-back. He's got a chance as well of getting games, given the fact that full-backs are very, very threadbare at the moment. We've only got Mendy really, maybe Zinchenko at left-back, but he's got a chance to play there. Last year he played alright in the Checkatrade Trophy. He likes to get forward, he's tenacious, he likes to try and square up to Jack Wilshere, which will always get a tick in my box. It was during a reserve game and he went right up to him. And at one point he formed a really good partnership with Jadon Sancho on the left. But ever since then, I guess his development's been okay, but this is a big chance for him to show Pep Guardiola what he can actually do. Then after this is a name you may actually remember. Pozo. Does that ring a bell? Of course it does. Jose Angel Pozo. His little brother, Iker Pozo, and he is his little brother. He's only small Iker, but he's a very intelligent player on the ball. And I've watched a lot of academy games, and when he's gone off the pitch, it's notable how little we held possession afterwards. He's one of those guys who does the dirty work most people don't see, and also he's very kind of subtle. He goes about, not many people notice him, but he's very intelligent on the ball, and he passes and he dictates games, and he always receives the ball in tight possessions, and he always distributes it well. He's a number 6, and given the fact that the squad is looking very threadbare in midfield, there's basically no senior midfielders there at all. Over there, let me have a look. No, basically that's it, other than Foden, I guess. Even then, he's only the same age as him. Zinchenko, if he plays in midfield. Pozo's got a good chance to actually impress him, and he's a very likeable player, so fingers crossed he takes that opportunity. I do actually think we'll see him play, and another who I think we'll see will play is Tom Delhi Basu. We also saw him last year against Leicester in the Carabao Cup because he went to extra time, so he got a full 35-40 minutes, and he was good that day. A powerful box-to-box midfielder, very aggressive on the ball, very forward-thinking, which I like about a player. A player who wants to make things happen, a rocket of a shot with his right foot, in general likes to burst through the midfield. Obviously he's trained with the first team quite a bit now, given the fact that he's been involved in League Cup games, and this is another chance for him to show what he can do. And then there's Luke Bolton as well, a man who had lots of injuries last year, but at his very best was a very bustling, very old school right winger. What I like about Luke is that ability to drive past people and just get a crossing, and he knows how to cross as well. I lost count of how many assists he got in the academy teams where he just skip past his man, get a half a yard and bundle his way into the area, or whip a first time cross into the near post, or even had the ability just to appear at the back post as well and score a few goals. It's an old school trait, and he's also he never gives up, and he's a bit of a City fan as well. I swear he's a City fan, which is always nice as well. Luke can also play right back and a right wing back, and he used to at one point when the under-16s play up front through the middle, so he's a very versatile player who wants to get his chance. And then there's Benjamin Geary, the man that nearly got us suspended for illegal signings. Now it wasn't his fault, of course. City got caught up in it. I think it was Vela Sarsfield weren't happy with City approaching him. It wasn't obviously the player's fault, and at one point he looked very good last season. He was involved quite heavily in the Checkatrade Trophy when he played against the senior teams, and he looked very lively, dribbling at people, running from the left wing. He had a very tough start to life in Manchester. He had to step into Jadon Sancho's boots, and that's a very hard thing to do given the fact that he was one of those brightest stars in world football. But he eventually started to get comfortable in his own skin, and he was really lively, darting in and out, running at people and scoring goals. And he's another that was on the up big time, but then he got injured, unfortunately. It's very common for young players to be out for a long period of time, and Benjamin Geary, unfortunately, was one of those that happened. But he's one now that honestly could actually make an impression here, because I suspect, given the fact that he's been out for so long, he'll be so eager to make an impression, and he's a lively, technical player, and fingers crossed we see him. And after that is the very young Rabbi Matondo, the guy we got from Cardiff about 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. He's absolutely lightning quick, the jet-heeled winger, so skillful, the little Welsh lad. He terrorises defenders, he runs past them for fun, and he's a very good finisher. He could be a little bit of a surprise package for me. Only very slight still, and only very young, but he's a very exciting player. But then there's Lucas Lemaitre, that we all know quite a bit about. The man just scores goals for fun at EDS level, far outgrown EDS level, and given the fact that he's basically the only senior striker, literally the only one who's been on the pitch before for the first team as a striker, you suspect he'll get plenty of game time during these 3 games, and that's brilliant news because he's a very talented player. He just needs a bit of a chance to show what he can do. Lucas, I hope you bag a hat-trick against Liverpool. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I'll just settle for him playing though, and playing well, and surely it's just a precursor for a loan move for him next season, unless he does some pretty impressive things during these preseason friendlies. And then lastly but not leastly is Nabil Tuazi, the Spanish striker. At one point last season, the first time I saw him, I was absolutely blown away by him. He was this almost like Negredo-esque, physical, complete striker. Negredo in his first season at City, in the first half, when he was just so powerful, so good, scoring goals with loads of variety, running at people. And that's what Nabil was actually doing. He was just the perfect centre forward. And that's what he looked like anyway on paper. Strong, physical in the air. And then he kind of slightly lost some form. But that's understandable. He is only young. But he's a very encouraging, very exciting striker. And now he's got a big chance, and he's only very young still, to actually go out there, maybe even get on the pitch and score against a team or two. Either way, it's going to be fascinating, isn't it? I think that's just about the end of that massive list of players. Hopefully, it's been insightful. So if I had to choose a couple of players to look out for, just so you could surprise a few people, I would say Ike Pozo, maybe Benjamin Gary and Matondo, maybe Nemecha and Tuazi. And obviously, to be honest, they're all very good players. I'm interested to see what the lone guys do, the ones that will probably be leaving, but they get another chance. It's interesting to see how Foden and Brahim as well, how they've grown over the summer. There are, of course, a few notable absences. Joe Latibodiere would have suspected to be there, but there are some rumours about a contract in Passe. And given the fact that City clamped down on Sancho last year and wouldn't let him train with the first team unless he signed something, that would kind of ring a bell. It could just be that he's injured, but it could also be that no Bersan Salina or Kean Bryant. I suspect that means they're both going on loan very soon. And also no Tommy Doyle. He's only very young, still 16, but he was with the under-18s and the EDS last year at times. But he has had a big injury recently, so maybe it's just a case of that. But that is our squad. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch, isn't it? Loads to learn. Let me know what you think of this squad and how it's going to line up. I haven't got a clue, but all I know, I've looked at the maths there, and that's a weird team we're going to be playing unless we see loads of kids, which I suspect we will do. So it's going to be fascinating. I'll be staying up to watch those games because it's like a Saturday about 2 in the morning, but I'll watch it and I'll make a review afterwards as well because it'll be fun. Anyway guys, that's just a very quick rundown of all the players for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget as well, subscribe if you're new to this channel, because why haven't you already? In a bit.